What's up, Backgammon fans? This is Marc Olsen. In this video, we're gonna talk about the doubling cube. This cube makes backgammon. It goes from an amazing game to a brilliant game. It raises up the complexity of the strategy. It makes it intriguing, makes it exciting. The cube is a brilliant part of the game. A lot of you guys, you see it when you buy a backgammon board. It's laying there on the side. You have no idea how to use it, how the rules are, when to use it. So let's talk about this in this video. So the doubling cube is a tool. It's kind of like in poker when you can raise the stakes. It's the same here in backgammon. If you feel like you're in an advantageous position, you have the option of raising the stakes of the game. So in the beginning of the game, it's in the middle of the board. Whether some people put it out here, some people put it here, it doesn't really matter. It's not activated yet. So both players have access to the cube. We usually put it with the side of 64 facing upwards to indicate that it's not in play yet, but it could as well just say 1 because that's actually the level of the stake. You double, or you have the option to double every time it's your turn. You have to double before you roll the dice. After you roll the dice, you cannot double, and when it's your opponent's turn, you cannot double either. You can double when it's your turn and before you roll the dice. So what is the dynamic? Well, if I feel like I'm in an advantageous position, I might be thinking, you know what? I want to raise the stakes. I want to go from 1 point to 2 points in stake in this game. So I'm saying to my opponent, I double, essentially saying I'm gonna raise the stakes. You now have the option of either taking or passing. Some say dropping, some say passing, some say folding, all the same. If you fold, or if you drop, or if you pass, you simply just say I pass or whatever, and you put the cube back, and you will lose the game. You will lose 1 point because that was what the stake was before the cube was in play. So obviously that's to my advantage because you just gave up the game. You might have equity in this game, but you just gave it up and I win the full point. Or you might say, I take the cube. This is a little bit risky because rather than playing for 1 point, we just doubled the stakes to 2 points. So now you take the cube and you have the cube ownership. Only the player with cube ownership can redouble. Notice that I cannot double to 4 or 8. I can only double 1 step at the time. So I double to 2, you take the cube. Maybe you get lucky, turn the game around, and all of a sudden you are the one who wants to raise the stakes. Now you can say, I redouble to 4. Now it's on me to decide whether to take or pass. So yeah, you would probably put the cube over here and you say I redouble to 4. And if I pass, how many points am I gonna lose? 2 points, because that was the stake. The stake was 2 points. If I take it, now I have the cube ownership and now we play for 4 points. The stake is decided by the doubling cube. Remember the scoring system in backgammon, you can win a single, you can win a double, you can win a triple, or single gammon or backgammon. That's being multiplied by the stake. So if you win a gammon with a cube on 4, you win 2 times 4 points, 8 points. If you win a backgammon, you win triple up, so that would be 12 points because the stake is at 4. So this cube makes the game really intriguing. You can win or lose a lot of points in one game. Usually we play match play, so we play to like 7 points or 11 points or something like this. So this is a way to gain more points in the game, or to simply just win the game quick, win 1 point, and then we move on to the next game. Okay. Another thing about backgammon is that this doubling cube can actually be used in any game. But there's something about the nature of backgammon that just makes it perfect to use the doubling cube. It's something about the volatility of each turn, of the equity swings in each turn. Like sometimes you can have a big swing of equity coming up. Sometimes it's a small swing of equity. In games where the swing of equity is too much from turn to turn, you can't really use it because you would just redouble all the time. In games where there's very little equity swing from turn to turn, let's say Monopoly or something like this, you can't really use the doubling cube because it's too boring. There's not enough swing of equity. Backgammon is that beautiful, perfect balance of volatility and swing of equity from turn to turn. So that's one of the things that makes the cube really, really brilliant for the game of backgammon. Okay, so that's the rules. A quick note on the mathematical side here. Usually you want to take the cube if you win more than 25%. So why do I say 25%? Actually, it's not that complicated. It's just a simple odds calculation. If I double you an initial cube to 2, if you pass, you lose 1 point. If you take and lose, you lose 2 points. So that's a point in difference. You risk 1 point. You risk losing 2 points instead of 1. However, if you win the game, then you win 2 points. So the difference between minus 1 point and plus 2 points is 3 points. So there's a 1 to 3 ratio of risk versus reward. 1 to 3, well, that's 25%, right? You need 25% to break even. If you win more than 25%, then you should take the cube. If you lose more than 25%, you should simply just give up the cube and just lose 1 point rather than risk losing 2. Well, that's a simple calculation. It's actually a little bit more complicated than that. Why? Well, the doubling cube is quite powerful. If you have ownership of the doubling cube, that means that you and only you can decide when you want to double the stakes on the game. This is a big advantage. I don't have that advantage if you hold the cube. Only you have that advantage. You can basically decide when to take the game and elevate it to twice as high a stake. This is a big advantage. We call this a cube vig because it gives you an extra equity in the game. So that's actually worth quite a lot. In a long game, it lowers the doubling or the take point down to around 22%. So it's worth several percentages of winning chances. Another thing that complicates this is the scoring system of gammons and backgammons. Because obviously, if I double and you take and I win a gammon, I don't just win 2 points, I win 4 points. So gammons and backgammons complicates things as well. So that makes it really interesting. You gotta practice, you gotta see a lot of positions, you gotta study, you gotta know the strategy with the cube, but that's something for later videos. Now you know how to play with the doubling cube.
BackgammonGalaxy.com